So, resumes. So, let's talk about the shortlist. You may be surprised about this. So, shortlisting a bunch of resumes, 200-300 resumes, the first cut is all about elimination. It's about, how do I get this stack of resumes down to this much? So I'm not looking for stars, I'm not looking for that ideal person, I'm looking for reasons to cut. I can cut a quarter of resumes because of typos and mistakes. A quarter. It's phenomenal to me that you would, and we all do it, you write something, you read it, and you read what you think you wrote, you don't actually read it. Get your friend, get your mum, read that resume. Someone else who hasn't written it, get them to read it. I can lose a quarter of resumes to completely mismatched qualifications or completely inappropriate people applying for a job. That's okay, it's just, part of the job. So then what I'm looking to do is, out of 200 resumes, I'm looking for about 20. I'm looking for a 10% cut. And then I split the, as I'm going through that process, I put everything that gets eliminated through mistakes and typos into 3 bins. Yes, no, maybe. No's, just go. Maybes, it's kind of my, on the bench, my bench warmers in case none of the yeses come through. And what I'm really doing is I'm trying to match the person to the job. I'm not looking for someone who's overqualified. Someone who's overqualified is probably going to come in for a short while and they're going to start being unhappy. I don't want someone to be unhappy in a job after 6 months or a year. They're going to feel that, there's going to be problems. I don't want someone too underqualified because they're going to have a hard time in the job and their supervisor is going to have a hard time with them. So I'm looking for someone who is kind of hits that sweet spot, skill and experience matching to the job. So the phone call. Now I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because I've done this a couple of times and there's always a huge amount of questions. So this may be different, but I just wanted to give an opportunity to answer some questions. So, phone call, maybe good or bad. Maybe a reason to eliminate you. Phone call is a really good tool from a hiring manager's point of view to be able to kind of exit from the conversation really quickly. So it's never easy to tell. But a phone call is a perfect way to eliminate many of the kind of other attributes and just focus on a personality. Personality can really come through on a phone call. And so if you do get to the phone call, if you do get to the shortlist, you're in the top 5-10%. Means your resume's pretty good, your cover letter's pretty good, it was spell checked. Mind you, even spell check doesn't get it right. Make sure there's going to be no distractions. Lock yourself in a room. Give yourself ample time, much more time than is being allocated, just in case you get into one of those situations where you're just having a real great conversation and dialogue with somebody. Your goal in the phone call is to get them to bring you in. Make them want to find out more about you, meet you, all those kind of things. That's your number one goal. So you've got to make an impression, you've got to be prepared, ask questions, be interested, take the lead from the interviewer. Now, you may often find that the first phone call might be an HR person. There's a huge difference between HR person giving you a call and programmatic person giving you a call. HR is a discipline. Those people are professional interviewers. You can pretty much tell exactly the questions they're going to ask you. What was your biggest challenge? Where did you make great impression? What happened when you did this? Whereas a programmatic person is going to ask you much more kind of questions about the content, the subject, who you are as a person. Much more. Despite the name human resources, they're going to probably have a much more touchy-feely conversation with you. And HR people, their job is this. Their job is interviewing people, talking to people, eliciting questions and answers from people. If you're talking to someone, a programmatic person who you may actually be reporting to, they're not very good at interviewing. Probably. They probably don't do it very often. They probably don't like doing it, so there is a huge opportunity to help them through the process. So think about the people that you talk to when you get an interview. It's a big difference there. Oh, wrong button. Oh, by the way, this is Prezi that I'm using. I just put that out there because normally when I use this, the first question I get is nothing to do with what I was talking about. It's, what were you using? It's an online presentation tool. So if you get to the interview, you're pretty close. There's probably less than 5 of you who are coming in for an interview. You've kind of gone through all those hurdles about, you've got the skills, you've got the qualifications, you've demonstrated, if you had a phone call, you've got the personality, so pretty much your goal now is to look smart and look like you can fit in. Now, if you're in the same institution, going for a promotion, treat it as if it was treat it exactly the same as if it was another institution. Don't make any distinction. Don't assume that you're in that job. That's a real, that's a bad mistake to make. There's a possibility that you're just getting a courtesy interview, but I would say 9 times out of 10, there's a lot of time involved in doing this. It's more than likely you have a real shot at the job, but do it professionally. Prepare professionally, prepare properly, and treat it as you would any other interview. And again, think about who you're talking to. You may have there may be a number of people that you're going to talk to. So your goal is you need that person that you're talking to walk away with something physical. So think about what's going on. So you're going to meet with 3 or 4 people. They're going to be making notes about you, and then they're all going to meet at the maybe at the end of the hiring, the round, and talk about you. If they don't have anything in their hand about you, that's not good. Make sure they're writing something about you. Maybe bring something in, something that demonstrates what you've done. Have something physical, so they've got a folder that they're going to be carrying around. It's got your name on it, and when they all sit down and talk about you, they can bring it out. A thank you card goes in the folder. That's a really good thing. A lot of people still do that, I'm pleased to say, and it's not an email. It's a handwritten card, obviously dropped in the internal mail just as they're exiting my office. But it's something from a kind of process point of view, goes into a folder about you, so when those people meet, there's something physical that reminds them about you. Make sure you listen to what they're asking. Try and, again, if it's an HR person, you're kind of going through some rote questions about broad things about working and success and failure and all those kind of things. But listen to the questions they're asking, and ask, when you answer a question, say, did I answer your question? Make sure, and there's a huge opportunity if you are talking to the kind of non-HR person, a programmatic person, who, again, is probably not very good at doing this. You may have had more interviews than they've given, so kind of help them, make them feel comfortable, make them see you in that job. So I mentioned before, particularly if you're going for a job in your same institution, Malcolm Gladwell's Blink is about an immediate impression. So there's this, one of the best pieces of advice I've ever had is dress for the job you want. And really that's about looking like you could do a bigger job, acting like you could do a bigger job, taking on small projects that help you just kind of stand out from a crowd. I mean, you don't have to go the whole hog and do an 18-hour day, but just every now and again, every day ask your boss, anything you need from me today. Make your boss's life easier. Make them create this kind of impression that you're capable and able to do a bigger job. Let's see. Points across, so physical thing. Okay. Oh, I have one other gem of wisdom. There's a difference between self-promotion and selfless promotion. Make that distinction. Selflessly promote yourself. So don't go out there and force yourself into people's faces, but help people out. So the offer. the all-important piece about this. So think about what the job's worth. There are going to be broadly three types of job. Jobs may be unionized. There are some curatorial jobs that are unionized. Unionized jobs are pretty much, you don't get to negotiate. It's probably going to be one figure, and you kind of take it or leave it. They may be stepped, again, a very kind of rigorous approach to salary where you come in at a particular wage, and on the anniversary of your date, you move up in a particular, at a particular rate. Or there's graded jobs. So there's a range of pay that could be paid to this job, which gives you a bit of flexibility in being able to negotiate a salary. And there's nothing wrong in negotiating. You'll probably find that, like I said, HR is a kind of a discipline. If you're negotiating salary with an HR person, they're probably going to come in slightly lower, because their discipline tells them that you want the potential employee to kind of feel good about coming in. So there's probably an opportunity to negotiate. Having said that, there may be limits on budget, and there may be just, this is all we can give you. But they've gone through this process of eliminating all these people, honing in on you. If you say, well, can you give me an extra, 1,000 or 2,000? They're not just going to say, no, sorry, offer rescinded, and we'll go to the next person. They're going to negotiate. But when you do negotiate a salary, have an explanation about why you're asking for what you're asking. Mortgage and kids, it's not my problem. Sorry, but it's not my problem. Something appropriate to the job is my problem. So maybe you've got a longer commute. Well, that's a genuine reason to take a look at the salary and the offer. So things that are relevant to the job are places where you can negotiate salary. So maybe you're involved in an organization. That's a little thing as part of your package that you bring to the table that may get you, a few extra bucks. So all these things, so join professional organizations, get involved, because some institutions actually do like that, the kind of kudos that comes with you being involved on a kind of a broader scale. So how taller is the job? Make a distinction between the job that you're leaving and the job that you're going to. If it's pretty much the same, then you're going to have a hard time in negotiating a significant difference. If there's a lot more responsibility, maybe you're supervising people, that gives you much more of an opportunity to negotiate a higher salary. And do some research. Monster.com, Career Builder, all those job websites out there that give out salary information. Kind of try and match. It can be hard, but try and match. Get a feel for what the institution might be, what an equivalent job might be. I think I've allowed 5 minutes for questions, but probably 10 minutes. So, like I said, pretty much all these is in your notes. Actually, just a bit more on salary. Think about what a reasonable increase is. Is it 10%? Is it 20%? Probably not 30%, but think about it. Try and look at it from the institution's point of view, but don't be afraid to negotiate.